Hey guys, what's going on? TheRealOGnick here. I'm bringing you guys my survival guide video slash walkthrough I've been meaning to make for a few days now, ever since survival came out. And I just want to really give you guys my tips and tricks and basically what I do and what helps me succeed in the survival game mode and how I think you can easily get to the DZ, how to prep, and basically how in total to get off good extraction in a reasonable amount of time. Um, my first thing I would say is when you're in the game mode, as soon as you start off, obviously grab the painkillers slash medicine you get in that first safe house you're in, and then go outside and run to the nearest helicopter crash you can get to. I will say this: the beginning part is often the hardest part, because once you get into the beginning part, that's when a lot of people are gonna die quickly, whether it be from the cold, NPCs, or other players more often than not if you're doing PvP, which I personally do a lot of PvP of. But that is often the situation. So what I suggest doing is running to the helicopter crash, but make sure your surroundings. If you don't know the area you're in, always be sure to keep checking your map and always understand the area you're in and where fire barrels are, other safe houses, shelters, and whatnot. So you're not gonna get dropped from the cold, and just so you have a general idea of where you're at. Next, what I suggest you do is on the way to the helicopter crash, always keep checking your map, okay? Because there's gonna be a lot of people dying, and so what I always suggest you do is keep checking your map for unconscious players, because unconscious players means there's either more players you could possibly kill and loot, or that then you know where to stay away from. So it gives you a nice inkling of, depending on your situation, your build, and what you're prepping at, and where you're at in the game, it gives you a nice idea of how to prep for it, and whether or not you want to stay next to battles or not, and basically whether you got to kick in that fight or flight instinct in that situation. And speaking of fight or flight, what I also suggest is take your time. You don't have to rush through, killing as many people as possible, and you don't need to worry about your times really, because it takes quite a while to get to an extraction for most players. So if you're a good player at survival or even decent at best, you will still be able to pull off an extraction if you just take your time and make sure you don't rush things. Don't rush close to the DZ when you don't have the gear you need. I basically like to, before I enter the DZ, I like to have all purple gear. Weapons, I prefer at least a purple assault rifle or sniper. I always suggest having a sniper rifle with you, whether it be an SVD, M1A, SOCOM M1A, a SOCOM M220 is what it's called. I forget the name of that one. A SCAR or anything, any kind of marksman rifle, because those do a lot of damage compared to how much firearms you will have, and they're really strong at taking out NPCs to help clear out areas quickly and safely, and they also help out in situations of PvP. Say you see a player far away, you don't want to get close because you know about their gear. You can easily take them out in 2 to 3 shots. Now, in terms of fighting, in NPC battles, choose your battles. Okay, if it's an area with there's not a lot of cover now, a place where you can work, and you don't have the med kits and you need to go craft stuff, do not fight it. There will always be NPCs around, and you don't have to worry about it. As far as PvP goes, it's depending on your situation. If you are not really geared up to the point where you feel comfortable engaging in a battle, don't do it. You will most likely see that player down the road, and you do not have to. And some players don't fight. Like in the video you're seeing right now, he wasn't going to fight me. I kind of was an asshole. I went after him because I knew he didn't have a weapon, so I knew it would be easy kill there, easy loot, and whatnot. And like I said, killing players is a good way to loot, but if you don't feel like you can win, don't risk it. It's fine. And as far as loot, what I suggest you do is when you are in a situation where you're getting gear, you go from green gear to blue gear, and now you're starting to get purple gear. Always deconstruct everything you have that you are not going to use. Keep deconstructing it because you're gonna get so much fabric and weapon parts and stuff like that to help craft things you'll need down the road, such as high-end weapons, high-end gear, attachments, clothing to keep yourself good from the cold, etc., etc. So always be sure to deconstruct stuff you don't need. I do that multiple times in this video. Anytime you get something you want to upgrade, I deconstruct right away, just so I always have an inkling idea of how much gear I have and how much I need to farm for certain pieces of items. And that you always see me checking my map in the video too, because I'm always keeping an eye out for unconscious players seeing whether or not I can go loot them, or just so I have an idea of where people are dying, where people could be nearby me. That's how I play it personally. I feel like another thing too that a lot of people have trouble with is the idea of being able to use their materials correctly as far as your water, food, etc., etc. I find you should keep your medkits only as dire situations where you need to use it before you go down or you're about to go down. Obviously, there are times where you're going to use it just out of habit. What I suggest you do is try not to use that. Try to use your canned food. Try to use your energy bars. Try to use those instead because they do the same amount of health. It just takes a little bit longer, and as long as you play it correctly, it will save you from using medkits and not having to use them. So you don't have to craft them and waste fabric and everything else on them as well. I also suggest um, always keep inventory on how much stuff you have. And as far as painkillers and medicine, I believe in this video you will see multiple times I max out on painkillers. So I'll pop a painkiller and then get new ones. And there's times like this one right here where I was about to leave, but I'm like, why? When I could just wait for my painkillers to come back where they don't work, pop a painkiller, grab another one, and keep going. Like that extra little bit of time is not going to mean a whole lot in the long run. Because like I said, you will have plenty of time unless you're playing someone who is really skilled at survival and they've done it many times and they've just gotten that right situation. But like I said, you will have time. So take your time as much as you can. Now, obviously, you want to go super slow to the point where it's just taking you really, really long to get to the DZ. Because you will have to get to the DZ at a certain point because you need to craft that high-end gear. But to me, right when you get to pretty much all purple gear, that's when you should move on to the DZ. Obviously, you have to have a basic virus filter, and I also suggest getting advanced virus filters just so you don't have to really worry about contaminated areas, and you can run around with ease and get into situations where you don't have to worry. And especially if, say you're in a PvP battle, you run into a contaminated zone, say they don't have it, and they just forget, and then run down there, they should be a pretty easy kill because they'll be disoriented. They will try to run back, they'll turn their back on you, and that's where you can kill them. So, I know I kind of ran on about that. But like I said, back to like the painkillers and your medicine and your water. Always keep stock. Always keep inventory. If you're maxed out on an item, use it and then just pick up the item and max out again. It doesn't hurt to do that. A lot of people like to leave it. But the thing is if you're leaving it for another player. So use it, get it for yourself. Then you're getting the bonus and you're still maxed out. Especially with water and soda, where you're going to want to max out on those as much as possible because those are really useful for getting gear, finding loot, and just automatically just buffing up your character and or getting more medicine and painkillers which you'll need down the road when you get closer to the hunter, and it's going to take more time to clear areas, and just it's going to take more time, so you're going to need as much sustainability on your virus as possible. Now, when you first get to the DZ, that's where it gets really scary for a lot of players, and I agree. My first time getting into DZ, I was scared shitless because I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to expect. What I suggest doing is what I said earlier: get a sniper rifle that you're comfortable with. It depends on how good you are at aiming. If you want to go with the M44 type of a rifle, where it does a lot of damage but it doesn't have quick speed, you can go with that. Or you can go with a SVD. I suggest staying away from the M18 if you can. But say you get it, it's fine. It's a good sniper rifle. But I like the SVD personally, and for more situations, I like being able to get off multiple shots on an NPC before I have to go back into cover to not die. So that's what I personally like to do. And that's what I like to choose. And when you're in DZ, what I suggest doing is going straight to an safe house. Take stock of what you have, convert everything you need, and just keep stock of what you need. Because I suggest getting high-end gear over high-end weapons at first. If you can get high-end weapons, go ahead, but try to save your division tech for that flare, and try to save it for other stuff that you might need. Whether or not you're trying to get high-end gear, and you might need division tech to convert for a high-end like electronics or fabric for a gear piece, you're going to want to keep your division tech. So always be on the lookout for that. As far as clearing out areas, My two favorite areas to clear out, prior to the DZ and into the DZ. The one prior to the DZ is the mission of the subway morgue. It is actually a landmark, and there's purple cleaners there. I like to clean that out because you get pretty much 2 to 5 purple items there, give or take on the situation and your RNG loot. And you get a lot of water, canned food. You get a lot of stuff there, a lot of loot down there, and it's really useful to go down there prior to the DZ. That's the place I always try to go to. And in the DZ, I personally like to take out the sports store because there's a lot of cover and there's just a lot of areas where you can pop your head out, go back down, pop your head out, go back down with your sniper rifle. And I don't find the LMB that tough there. I feel like stay away from the library because you want to stay away from heavies as much as possible because they will down you so quickly. So that's what I would suggest. Stay away from heavies as much as possible, whether or not it's Rourke or the Rikers or even LMB guys. They're pretty tough because with the amount of toughness they have and how hard they hit, it's not like in the regular game where you're just going to be able to kind of walk right through it. You won't be able to, and so I says take your time and choose out your plan. Make your plan of attack. If someone's extracting and you feel like you have to rush, look at your gear first because they have 3 minutes of extraction. Take out the hunter and then get on the helicopter. So try to plan it out. If they have 3 minutes, go to a safe house near them by the extraction, gear up as much as you can, and go fight them. You know, like I said, this whole thing is about pacing yourself. That's all survival is pacing yourself and making quick and smart decisions on the fly. You want to rush at times, you need to rush, but you don't want to have to over rush to where you enter the DZ or you just enter a battle and you're not prepared enough. Like you'll probably see in this video if it keeps going on, the footage you're watching, I actually get into a situation with a purple guy, and I thought at first I was geared out for him, but you'll quickly see if it's in this footage that I just almost get bodied. I have to use all 3 of my med kits. You know, it's just all about picking your fights and picking your situations, and it's really fun with survival because you actually have to use cover to cover tactics. So try to use that as much as possible. And with crafting, as far as skills, what I suggest you do with skills, the first skill you should create is the pulse. Reason you should create pulse is because with the blizzard, it's really hard to see players and NPCs. Most of all, to me, players, because NPCs you can pretty much predict them, you can hear them easier, and you can pretty much know where they're going to be. Players, they're really unpredictable, obviously, and you can't hear them. So I like to pop pulses every so often, just so I know if a player is in a building, or he's just like nearby somewhere, because it's always nice to have that ability, because without it, you're just not only gonna lose some damage, but it's more so just knowing your surroundings and know if there's a player by you. And it's also nice because if there is a player by you and they don't know you're there, you can get a quick jump on them, kill them, and take their loot. So it's really all about just timing your pulses, timing yourself, and just making sure you're not overdoing yourself in that situation. And with the second skill, obviously you should go with the first aid. Reason being you should go with the first aid is because it's basically almost a full overheal depending on your build. But even if it's not, it's so nice to have. It can keep you alive, of course. And it beats most of the other things. The only thing I would possibly switch it out for is if you're fighting the hunter, say you want to use a ballistic shield, or say you want to use secret mines, sticky bombs, something to do a lot of damage to them really quick. So that's kind of a decision up to you guys and your preference. I don't feel like you need it. But again, it depends on how geared you are and how prepared you are for the fight. All in all, though, guys, I hope this video helped. If it sounds rushed, I apologize. I could do a more in-depth one another time. I feel like this is pretty in-depth. I feel like I hit on a lot of key points. So yeah, guys. This Sunday, obviously, is Christmas, so I hope you guys have a very good Christmas or Hanukkah, whichever you guys celebrate. I will be getting better equipment Christmas, most likely, hopefully, to help bring you guys better content in the future. Like I said, if you guys have any video suggestions, please let me know. I really have to hear you guys' comments and your thoughts and feelings. I really love you guys. We're so close to 300 subs. I'd love to hit them before Christmas. We'll see you, though. Anyways, guys, I'm TheRealOGnick, and I'm out. Have a good one, guys. Have a good weekend.